Welcome to Learning Life Skills Together. This is our weekly community Zoom meeting where our guests help us to go deeper into the 4 life skills and open up a huge array of chances to practice them. Hello, everyone. This is number 107 in our Learning Life Skills Together community meetings. And I'm here today with Ronan Gannon, who is the CEO of LCH Health and Community Services. And we're going to talk all about health and community service and other stuff too in a minute, because as always, we're going to start by getting ourselves settled in to listen and to think clearly and to, I hope, talk clearly. So I'm going to do a really simple practice that everyone knows to do, and we always tell other people to do it, and we don't do it so much ourselves. So I'll just say I had a frazzling hour before this. I could not get my computer connected to the internet here at the university, and I had to go through several different offices to finally get that figured out. So my hair, it looks okay. It's not standing up, but it feels like that on the inside. So I want to do this thing that we call the 3 relaxing sighs in our Learning Life Skills program. And so it's works very simply, because when we breathe in, we actually, every time we breathe in, we're turning on the fight or flight mechanism in our bodies. And every time we breathe out, we're turning on the opposite, which some people call rest and repair. Some people call it rest and digest. And so what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in through our nose, and then we're going to breathe out long through the mouth with a sighing sound, so hence the relaxing sigh. So, Ronan, when you're ready, we could breathe in through the nose and we could try another one. And once more. And so we could just check in here. And how is it with you after 3 relaxing sighs?
It feels great, Don. This is actually exactly what I needed because right after this recording, I'm having my CEO evaluation from the board.
Oh
So
my.
it's got me in
Okay.
a wonderfully relaxed mode. So thank
All
you for
right.
that.
All right, perfect. And now you know the secret to getting there. So, along with everyone else. Okay. So, what I'm hoping, Ronan, is that you could take some time and just tell us about LCH, because it is a magnificent organization and resource for our community. So,
Well, thank you, Don. I'd love to. And thank you for inviting me to this podcast. I'm really excited to talk to you about it. So LCH is a primary care organization, safety net organization in southern Chester County. We have a very comprehensive model of primary care, and you'll be happy to know that we fully integrate behavioral health into primary care. So we look at both the physical health of our patients and also the mental health. So we've really removed that artificial barrier that exists today between
mm,
physical health and mental health. We also integrate oral health in, so we have dental capabilities too.
oh,
And I know that you were here when we opened the PIA Center for Behavioral Health and Wellness at our Jennersville location. And I thank you for coming to that. But that has been a huge success for us in southern Chester County in terms of expanding access to mental health therapy, to behavioral health therapy, and to making sure that we have a center that is totally oriented towards behavioral and mental health. And so everything from comfortable seating to what you would expect, privacy, where you can discuss some difficult things with the therapist all in one place. And so it is integrated across all our primary care, but we also have this wonderful center, thanks to the generosity of the Pia family, where we can focus on the mental
Mm,
health needs of our patients.
yeah.
So LCH is really basically focused on whole person care. And as I said earlier, that's not just the physical health, but it's also the mental health of people. And I'm so glad to see that you, along with State Senator Comita, have put together a series on prevention because it's so important.
Yeah, yeah. So, we did this in response really to a, a sort of long building, but becoming very visible need with our young folks. So, child and adolescent mental health has just become more and more important and more
Yeah,
visible from people with symptoms
for sure. Yeah,
spot.
totally agree. It's a big deal in this area.
Yeah. Yeah. So our program is really meant to be a program that helps the kids from the very first moment because there are things that we can be doing with our infants and toddlers that really do affect their mental health as they grow. And so when we can be doing the things that strengthen their mental health, that help them to be resilient, right? And that help them to have a sense of agency in the world.
Hmm.
To know that they are somebody who counts and somebody who has an effect on what's going on with them and around them. It's just, you know, uh, so strongly helpful. I mean, these are the things that in public health, I'm a professor of public health. Um, in public health, we look to build those things into the population.
Yes.
Yeah. And so the parents are a huge part of this and the other carers
Hmm.
as well, so
Yeah.
grandparents and relatives who have the kids for a while, it's important that they're thinking in these kinds of ways. And so what we've done with the program is to simplify it. Um, there are four main skills that we want kids to have, and that if they have, they seem to do well with their mental health. So
Hmm.
basically, we built this from the opposite end. We said, well, what are the things that we need to do once a child has a crisis? What therapy is there for them? What has to happen? And so the really big one, the one with the most evidence and
Hmm.
one that's most popularly used is dialectical behavior therapy, which is a mouthful. And so
Yeah.
so we say DBT. And DBT has this program as part of the therapy of teaching four basic skills that help us essentially keep balanced.
Hmm.
And so those are paying attention to what's going on around us and to how that affects us inside. Kids are usually really good at naming what's happening around them.
They are. I
You
agree.
know,
They're very good. Yeah.
very good at that. But saying, how does that make me feel?
Yeah.
What's going on with me is often the missing link. And so that's the side of paying attention that we try to encourage.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so with that particular skill of attention inside and out, we say, parents, you can be doing this all the time. You can just be saying, wow, when
Hmm.
I saw that bird rise up right in front of us. First, I was scared, and then I laughed. I was happy, because you don't get that close to a bird
Yeah.
that often.
Yeah.
So really, really simple things and simple ways. And how was it for you when it happened? That's the question. Very, very simple, but you know, over, I don't know, the next 10 years with that kid, asking questions like that, thousands of questions, they get the idea that they can know what's happening with them. And it doesn't have to be just the bad stuff,
Yeah.
right? And that's kind
Absolutely.
of what
Yeah.
we emphasize is that let's, so we say for that one, let's go for a walk together
Yeah.
and just see what we see and see how we feel after we've seen it. And one of the really amazing things about going outside, and I will say that Chester County is one of the great places, I think, in
Yes,
the
it
world
is.
to go
Yes.
outside. You know, when we go outside and when we're outside for about 10 minutes, our whole physiology changes and the physiology of our brain chemicals changes. We have different levels of hormones and we have different
Yeah.
brain chemicals happening for us, and we feel different
We do.
just from being outside. And so to go for a walk for 10 minutes, check in with your kid, how you feeling, what's going on, what did you see? Did you see that? You know, those little conversations, that's all. It's not a huge investment on the parents' side either.
No, not at all. And it's beneficial to both parents and children. And I can
Mhm.
certainly relate to your bird analogy as I'm a bird watcher myself. I'm a birder.
Ah, great.
So that's how I de-stress when I get outside and look at birds. And I've tried to bring that to my three children. One of them's interested, the other two are not so interested. But I think you're absolutely right. I mean, and I've enjoyed watching all of your videos, and I can see from the examples that you gave that it comes out very clearly in the videos that these are tools and practices that are very easy to integrate into your normal daily activities with your children. Um, and I think getting outside is there's tons of literature showing how that
Yeah.
just changes your mental mode, and I think that comes out that's reinforced in those videos, and it's something that I think is really important to get
Yeah.
across.
Yeah. And so this whole idea of knowing how you feel
Hmm.
is the big skill that all the other three build on.
Yeah.
So then the next one is, well, what can I do about it if I'm feeling
Hmm.
the way that I
Exactly.
would prefer not to? And so we can teach you the three relaxing sighs. And
Yeah.
there are tons of things that we can do to regulate our emotions. But the big one that parents need to be thinking about all the time is that they are the thing that regulates their children's emotions.
Hmm.
And the younger the child is, the more that's true. I love this whole thing. As a dad, I love this feeling anyway, but you hold an infant in your arms that's crying, that's upset, and you do the things that you know how to do, which aren't
Yeah.
that many, but they are effective. And so you rock them, you bounce them, you sing to them, and they begin to calm down.
Yeah.
And that makes you calm down. And so what we call it is co-regulation.
Hmm.
And so that is always happening, even when they're like my daughter, 42 years old. When they're upset and you can not be upset and meet them calmly. And unfortunately, as we go, it gets progressively more difficult, the problems that we're presented with.
Yes, yes.
And it's harder for us to regulate ourselves around them. But when we do, that magic of co-regulation happens.
Mm, yeah,
And
yeah,
it's a natural thing. It's why it's really good to have friends and to have people who love you because they will do that for you.
yeah, yeah,
And it's, I mean, however large the family is, however extended the family is, everybody in that is involved in co-regulation and teaching the kids that part of the skill.
yeah. I think that whole notion of balance, I think, is what how it's phrased in the videos
Yeah.
is it's so easy to remember because there's a lot involved in that whole concept, but it's balancing your emotions, but it's also, as you mentioned, the co-regulation aspect of it. As a parent, how can you balance your children's emotions and how then does that balance yours as well? Because it's not always just the child that's upset by something that's upsetting them. We all know that when one of our children came home and was bullied at work, at school, or had some other thing, it affects us as well. And so that
Yeah.
co-regulation is just such a life skill that you just wish was taught when we were growing up.
Yes, I know. It came as a revelation
Yeah.
as I became educated around this stuff. Yeah. It's just so very human.
Hmm.
I want to say
Yeah.
it's like it's not this alien thing. Oh, I have to learn this and it's got this name. It's like, no, we really know this down deep. And when we
Yeah.
learn it and feel it, it becomes just part of us and
Yeah.
how we work. And that's what we want for our kids.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's see. So with that one, our the skill that we have that goes with it is one that you and I talked about a little bit before we
Hmm.
started the recording here, and that is awe and beauty, and recognizing and being with awe and beauty. So the idea of nature, which we've just
Hmm.
talked about, and then the arts,
Yeah.
are things that really help us to balance ourselves, as well as little hacks like taking 3 deep breaths. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
but on a larger scale, on this scale of how do we want our kids to be and to grow up? If they can grow up appreciating nature and letting it change them, and appreciating art and letting it inform them, educate them, and calm them, you know. Because here's the secret around that is that when we're using the part of our brain that's the thinking part, it's the prefrontal cortex, but we don't
Yeah.
need to get technical. When we get that part turned on, it calms the parts that are looking for threats and reacting in
Yeah.
fear to things. When we're awed by a beautiful picture, by a beautiful sunset, by an amazing movie, you
Hmm.
know, we are taken out of ourselves a little bit and into a different world that isn't causing us pain and that isn't causing
Yeah.
so much suffering. And so when the kids can twig on that and find that, oh, when I read this book, I can go there.
Hmm.
Now I can read this whole series if you happen to be a, a
Yeah.
preteen,
Yeah.
Now I got 20 books I can read. Whoa, this is awesome. And so as we promote that with our kids and promote again the feeling of it inside, we're giving them that lifetime skill, hence the life skills. Yeah.
Yeah. And It's so easy to do. I mean, it's whether it's walking. I know that down in our area in Kennett Square, there's the Anson B. Nixon Park. It's a beautiful park with a
Yeah,
pond, and
yeah,
so many community members walk in that area. And and with families, et cetera, whether they're fishing or walking or just walking through trees and looking at the trees, you
yeah,
can tell that it's changing their neurons, I guess, and
yeah.
it certainly does that for me when I go there, and all seasons too. You can go on a winter's day. I mean, we're here today in a very sunny, hot time, but even in the middle of January, you can walk outside and see beauty and feel awe. And and it's the same with music. At least it is for me. If you can hear a
Yes,
song or a group of songs that really means something to you, and no matter what age you are, I think it can also provide that sense of awe to how do they play those instruments or how did they come up with those words?
yes,
Put
yeah,
it all together in an art form is really meaningful, I think, in this area.
yeah, yeah. For sure. And so the next one is how do we get through tough times? That's the next skill, you know. So
Yeah.
when we are stuck, when we are in a place where we're suffering, how do we get a break from it? That's a
Hmm.
healthy break. I mean, there are lots of people who will sell us all kinds of things that will give us
Right.
a break, but they're not really the kind of
Short-term fixes
pleasure
at best,
that
right?
we want, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So the skills that we have already, okay, I know how I'm feeling. I can change it a little bit for the moment, but I'm going to be doing this for a while because I'm in this situation that I hope to resolve and am thinking about.
Yeah.
But for that break, how do I take it? And so, yeah, listening to music, a great one, among our teens,
Sure.
particularly that age 14 is when we find the song and the group and everything that we will be connected to for the rest of our lives. I
Mm,
heard that
really,
that
14.
as
How
a
about
fact
okay.
at one time, somewhere 13,
Yeah.
14. That's where it hits us. So think about your age.
Interesting. Okay, that's
Yeah,
good to know.
yeah, work on that one. So it may be true. It is for me. So we're trying to get through tough times. And the other thing that really helps us be resilient is to feel like we have agency, is to feel like we make a difference in
Yeah.
the world. And so the thing that we ask for the kids or ask for the kids to learn is how to make something, how to be constructive, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's I'm going to get up, I woke up early this morning because I'm worried about this. I'm going to make breakfast for everybody.
Yeah.
If it's that, that's great. If it's I'm going to learn the guitar, or
Yeah.
I'm going to start painting, these luscious landscapes that we have here. You know, as we take those things on, those are the places that we can take the break, have something to show for it at the end,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
And not be damaging ourselves along the way.
Hmm.
And so this whole what can I do that's constructive, and it can be a craft, it can be whatever. And it
Yeah.
can also be what you do for a living eventually.
Yeah.
Right. So, somebody, just to put it in your wheelhouse, somebody who decides they would like to be a physician,
Yeah.
they are then putting their life into that.
They are.
And it's that kind of a break that you can take and you sort of watch those folks who have a sense of where am I going? What am
A
I
vocation.
a
Yeah.
vocation,
Yes.
that will pay me is excellent, but one that rewards me in other ways is the same thing. I mean,
Yeah,
my daughter does not do knitting, crocheting, and needlepoint for a living, but she does it as part of her appreciation of life, let me put it that way.
yeah,
And so we have those things available to us, and they're not expensive, and they're things that we can
yeah,
continually offer our kids.
yeah.
Like
It's
like
a
you were saying about your one bird watcher and
yeah,
non-bird
yeah,
watchers,
yeah.
there's tons of other ways
There's
to connect with
tons of ways.
nature.
Yeah,
As if we're doling those out and saying, how about this one? How about this one? Maybe something takes, and that's our role as that parent and caregiver.
yeah. Is encouraging that, and when we see that in our children to let it blossom and encourage it, and it is a mental health prevention practice, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, to look on that other side, you were asking me, what about art therapy?
Yes.
And I was saying absolutely. Really, because of this, because you get to express what's going on with you,
Hmm.
which is the next skill, but also, because you are connecting to that, I have agency in the world. I make a difference.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah.
And a 2-year-old will say that I made this.
Yeah.
You
It
know?
expresses you. It's an expression of who you are, right?
Yeah,
When you create some sort
yeah,
of art. Yeah.
yeah. So we're building resilience in that way.
So important. There's so much. There's so many challenges today, and I guess there always have been. But when you're living through it, the skill of resiliency is probably one of the most important skills, just to keep your mental health in some sort of balance, and to deal with life's stressors.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is the deal, and they keep showing up.
Yeah,
I've
they
been
sure
waiting.
do, and
I've been waiting. It hasn't
they're probably
happened
not
yet.
going to stop either. So
Yeah,
let's might as well start learning that skill.
yeah, absolutely. And so the last one, which I just, sort of introduced, is being able to say what it is that's going on with you and to say what you need. Now, this should, it doesn't make any sense that this is a huge practice. And yet, as you're dealing with adults throughout the day, you find that when you ask them a question of, well, what do you need right now? What do you want right now? I mean, this is me having been a therapist,
Yeah.
what do you need right now? The most common answer is, I don't know,
Hmm.
and so then what's the next step? Well, what is it? Let's think about it. And then can you ask for that?
Yeah.
Or how do you go about getting that thing that it is that you need in the
Yeah.
moment? And so this can again start at day one with the child, you know
Absolutely.
have them be able to say what it is that they need. And then as they grow older, there's this other part to it, which is really important also, is to know that other people need things too,
Hmm.
and to be able to figure out what those are when you're asking for what it is that you
Yes.
need. And this
Yeah.
is this is how we build successful relationships, successful
It
marriage,
is. Yeah.
successful businesses. That's the deal.
Yeah.
But it's so simple, but it's built up over that whole lifespan, which is
Yeah.
why the program is built this way rather than grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, or whatever.
It's smart because, as these children grow older and they start in jobs, in my experience, a large percentage of conflicts in the workforce are based on just different perspectives and expectations, right? And
Yeah,
so I know what I need, but I haven't thought about what you need. and you come to me with what you need, and all of a sudden there's a conflict, right? And so understanding how to communicate what it is that you need, but also taking that other person, understanding that there is another person out there that you're usually dealing with.
Yes.
What is it that they need is such a critical skill.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we can practice it from day
Hmm.
one with our kids. Think about it. If you knew how you felt and you could work with that and you could get through a really tough time
Yeah,
without resorting to, the things that cause a problem,
right.
and you can say what you need and help people get what they need, you've got a pretty well balanced life, to bring back that balance
Absolutely.
thing.
Absolutely. Um,
So hence the concept of prevention flowing out of, because those are the things that people who get into mental health crisis are missing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always thought that, treatment is essential, right? But you can't treat your way out of the mental health crisis that we're in right now. And so prevention is almost like we talk about eating healthy food, or exercise, right? So that's physical prevention. There's also mental prevention too, and learning those practices at an early age is going to really help. I think both these kids who are growing up in very different times and their parents as well.
Yeah, and so I want to say one thing that I didn't say yet, and I really can't believe I didn't say it, is that we don't expect parents to teach anything. When the parent takes this class, takes these little online modules, which by the way are
Hmm.
5 minutes, and it's pretty easy to go
Yeah,
through.
they go quickly.
Yeah,
I've watched them. They
yeah,
do go quickly.
yeah. And so as you're doing that, and you're saying, that's true.
Yeah,
That is what we need to be doing here. If all you're doing is doing that yourself with your kids, they are getting it.
yeah.
As we've all noticed, they will pick up everything,
Oh yeah,
and
for sure. Good or bad, right?
exactly. We notice the bad things that they
Yeah.
pick up immediately, but we don't notice the good things that they pick
Hmm.
up so quickly. So as long as we call it sharing, as long as you're sharing the skill, you could say a little bit, like, how are you feeling? Those kinds of things, or, let's take 3 deep breaths together. But it's then the together part that matters, because it's not teaching. We're not at the front of the class, and the
Yeah.
kid is not one down from
Right.
us.
Right.
We're doing this together because, you know what? We have the same problems. We have the same
Yeah.
mind that
Yes.
they do.
Yeah. This is not a didactic course as you go through it. There's a lot of common sense, but it's also easy to practice when you think about it. It's just doing it. And it's also easy to remember too. A lot of these things are so practical. You wonder, well, why didn't I think of that? But they're memorable and you put them into action, it's pretty easy to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's what we've been all about, for the last, well, since 2023. We've been rolling this thing out. And in English and Spanish, I want to say we're actually just finishing up the final piece of the Spanish. We have all of the audio recorded. We're just
Oh,
building.
that's great. And because
So
we'll be happy to see that down at
yes.
LCH because I think this is so helpful because for certain members of the community, just accessibility to behavioral health or mental health treatment is really difficult. So
Yeah.
to be able to get ahead of that and to see something that you can watch online that teaches you about prevention is really more than half the battle right there.
Oh,
So,
it's all free.
hmm.
It is specially built for your phone. So it does not require a computer to
That's important
course.
because a lot of people in southern Chester County rely on just a phone and they
Yeah,
don't have a laptop or a computer.
yeah.
So I think that's a smart move.
Yeah, yeah. So it's all right there. Um, lifeskillspa.org. There, I said it. So there we go. And so how would you relate this to what LCH is doing? How would you
Oh,
make this fit?
I think it is totally relatable to what we do. So first of all, I think it complements what we do because we do treatment at this point, but we also recognize the importance of prevention. So I always, when I talk to the team, I always say we don't want to be the repair shop, right? We want to get out ahead of this. Primary care is all about prevention.
Yeah,
And that's what family practice is about, and that's what we do at LCH. And so this absolutely aligns with our values and our practices,
yeah,
which is great. And it also, I think, aligns with the need in our area. We were talking right before we started recording that a local philanthropist in the area just called me last week to say to talk about a school that she's involved with, and the superintendent is saying, "What can we do for our children? They're struggling." And if I've heard that once, I've heard it 100 times.
yeah,
So it's really an issue and I'm not, this is not a news flash to anyone who's watching, but it's an issue for the kids these days. And so something that can help address preventive practices that you can just practice very easily at home with your parents, with yourself, I think aligns perfectly with what we do, Don.
yeah, yeah. And so that is wise in itself to say that. We always end this community meeting by asking our guest for a word of wisdom or a watchword. So it could be just one word. It could be, a sentence or so.
Empathy would probably be the word.
Hmm.
Empathy for yourself, empathy for others. Just realizing, I think, as you mentioned, awareness up front when you were talking about the program
Yeah,
is being aware of where you are, what's going on, who's around you, and how that all affects your life. And I think we could all do with a refill in the empathy tank from now and
mm,
then.
yeah, for sure. All right. Well, we will let empathy resound as that watchword. So thank you so much, Ronan, for talking with us.
Oh, Don, it was my pleasure. Thank you.
Okay.
You have a great day.
You too.
Thanks. Bye bye.